What's going on, everyone? This is your boy Jazz from the Lobby of Hobbies, bringing you an Our Family Plays Games preview of a game coming this November from Incredible Dream and designer Kevin Wilson. This is their second game. This is Kinfire Delve, Vainglory's Grotto. This is a 1 to 2 player card-driven cooperative dungeon diving game, taking it back to the same world of Atios from Kinfire Chronicles. Now, understand everything you see in this preview will be in prototype form, but down in the links below you'll be able to follow this and everything else about it. But we're going to pass this over to Starla, who's going to dive deeper into this with us with an overview.
Kinfire Delve, Vainglory's Grotto is a tactical and cooperative card game for 1 to 2 players. As Seekers, you will fight your way through the whale deck of challenge cards to reach Vainglory, the master of the whale, and face her in an epic battle. To defeat Vainglory, you'll battle and puzzle your way through her whale deck of 57 challenge cards before facing her final gauntlet. On your turn, attempt a challenge by playing a matching skill card and rolling the dice. Add enough progress tokens to a challenge and you'll be richly rewarded. But fail and you'll face the penalty by losing health, discarding cards, or being forced to return cards to the whale deck. Even when it's not your turn, the cards in your hand can be played to boost your teammates' action. But be cautious, emptying your hand means gaining exhaustion and suffering effects that can lose you the game. Survive long enough to reach the bottom of the whale and reveal Vainglory's final form. Break through her gauntlet of protectors in order to face and defeat her once and for all, and you'll win the game.
Thanks so much for that overview, Starla. Now it's time for me to talk to you about the theme, the artwork, components, and gameplay. As I said at the top of this video, the theme is this fantasy world of Atios, and it's this mystical world because you are a seeker who's been charged by your guild master to go out and find these various wells throughout Atios, take a dive into them, find their master, and destroy them before their master unleashes all the powers out onto the world to destroy it. Specifically, you're going to the Grotto of Vainglory, and you take on the role of one of 2 different seekers. In this one, it's either Asha, who I kind of consider as like this rogue type character who has the ability to throw daggers and get those daggers back into hand to use them again, or, you know, put progress onto specific objectives, but also kind of shift some of that progress over to other objectives as well. And sometimes it's beneficial to go after objectives that already have progress on them. Then you have Khor, who is this self-sacrificing character. I kind of think of him like a paladin, all right? So has the ability to kind of definitely this little bit of a brooder character, but they work hand in hand. You can choose one or the other, or play with a partner and you each take one, or if you want, again, this is solo, you can play both characters if you wanted to, I guess. But in this one, as you can see, this fantasy art kind of gives me these vibes of like Lord of the Rings meets a new world never-ending story, like a new age never-ending story. But that's kind of the feel that I get. You might get something different, but again, very mystical fantasy type world that you're in. And as you get onto this, playing this game, the setup is fairly simple. You're pretty much going to have just a deck of cards, some dice, and some tokens that you're going to have to make a pool of. Now, as you set out the game board or the play area, you're going to be shuffling 3 different versions of the master, in this essence Vainglory, and dealing 1 face down, so you don't know which Vainglory you're going to be going up against at the very end of the game, to the center of the table. You put the other ones back in the box, and then you'll shuffle up the well deck. These are going to be the various creatures, the various obstacles and puzzles you're going to have to overcome to get to Vainglory. After you shuffle that deck, you're going to place 4 different objectives out to the center of the table around Vainglory. There is a suggested setup in the rulebook, but as you go through, you're going to be shuffling cards in your hand, drawing some, and playing cards out on your turn. And when you play a card out, you want to look at you want to pick a specific objective on the board and look at the cards in your hand, and you are going to see which cards in your hand might match that specific objective. So you're going to match colors with color to overcome that. So the green cards can only work towards the green objectives that are out on the board. Some cards in your hand are dual purpose. They can attack the blue and the green. But you also have wild cards that are the white cards that allow you to attack any objective. And as you play a card out, you're going to look at the card's value and put that many progress onto the specific objective. And if at any time the objective has progress tokens that meet or exceed its value, that card gets discarded, and you're diving now deeper into the grotto. Each card, when you defeat it, will have a specific reward value when you defeat it. But if you don't defeat it, anytime at the end of your turn that it has not been defeated, you will suffer a penalty. And that penalty can be anything from losing life points, it can be discarding cards, or it can be cards going back onto the top of the well deck, meaning you're being pushed back up out of that grotto. Alright, but if you complete some of the objectives, you're going to be able to dive deeper into that well by shedding some of those cards off the top of that well deck. You might be able to draw new cards, gain health, or charge your Kinfire Lantern. When you charge your Kinfire Lantern, you can flip that card face over and you have a very strong ability. But make sure you're using that wisely, because this game is all about hand management. When you play cards out into the play, you don't get to draw new cards out. So you're saying, how do you play cards out and some of these cards don't reach the value of the objective? That is a very good question, because as you play a card out, your partners have the ability to boost your ability or your objective by playing cards out from their hand. At the bottom of each card is a boost ability, and you will in essence use that boost ability towards the objective to either up it and help them complete it. After you decide which cards you're going to play, you have the options of rolling 4 dice and adding those values if they match the color to the objective and seeing if you've completed it. But beware, because when you play cards out from your hand, you don't draw new cards back into your hand. To get cards back into your hand, either you have no cards in your hand and you have to rest, or you discard all your cards and you rest to draw new cards. But every time you do that, you're going to gain one of these exhaust cards out onto the table, and they are detrimental to your play. The exhaust cards might say, when you have 3 of these exhaust cards, you lose the game. Or when this specific exhaust card is on the table, it's harder to dive deeper into the well. So that's pretty much how the gameplay works. You're going to be playing back and forth on your turn with your partner, trying to figure out what objectives you're trying to overcome to get to the very end, find Vainglory, and defeat them. But this one is challenging. If you like a challenge, if you like a dungeon diving type game, but want something a little bit different, this one is the card-driven dungeon diver, which I've never had the privilege of playing before until now, which is very unique. It comes in this small package, which you can pretty much kind of take anywhere with you. It plays in under an hour, and it definitely gives you that feel of this push your luck. What are you going to do? How are you going to manage the cards in your hand? But if this one sounds like it's something up your alley, definitely check out the links below to follow along with this one. But again, I want to thank you guys for checking this one out for me. Again, don't take my word for it. Go look down in the links to see if this one is right for you. But we want to thank you for stopping through and checking this one out, and we'll see you on the next one.